The health of American women is under an unprecedented modern-day attack. And no, Bill Cosby isn't touring again, Trump isn't back to hanging out with Billy Bush, and no one has slipped poison into that Jamie Lee Curtis yogurt that makes you poop. It's time to be less stupid. For 8 years, the right's single biggest Obamacare complaint is how it puts the government between a patient and their healthcare provider. That relationship, they say, is sacrosanct, like the one between an investor and his banker in the Cayman Islands. And yet, while Republicans demand that no government interfere with patients and their healthcare provider, they are simultaneously insisting that the government must interfere with the patient and their healthcare provider if that patient is a pregnant woman who chooses to get an abortion. That was probably not a great idea. These are expensive, and this one is mine. Anyway, with the arrival of Cheeto Jesus and the rest of his insane clown posse, that's a clown with 3 Ks, the long-dormant pro-life movement, itself on life support, has been miraculously resuscitated. Foxhags in 14 states have proposed 46 new bills to severely restrict or make abortions illegal, demanding that doctors make women listen to a fetus's heartbeat, telling women that life begins at conception, while in Arkansas, men will be allowed to sue a woman that they've gotten pregnant to stop her from getting an abortion, even if they raped her. And it's only the middle of February. Imagine the draconian legislation that they could whip up in a month that had 31 days. This weekend, hundreds of thousands of Americans who believe that dinosaurs and Jesus walked the earth simultaneously 2,000 years ago took to the streets to demand that everyone else abide by their alternative understanding of science and medicine as they demonstrated against Planned Parenthood.
Save the babies! We don't play God. We don't decide who comes to this world and who doesn't.
These are clips from 2 demonstrations that took place near where I live. One in Van Nuys, California, and this one in Pasadena, California. Look at their signs. Pro-lifers have dozens of reasons why pregnant women must, by the rule of law, carry an unplanned or unwanted baby to term. Anyway, I thought we would take a look at a few of them. People who are pro-life say that abortion is murder. Is it? Let's find out. The definition of murder is actually pretty clear. 18 U.S. Code 1111 says that murder is the unlawful killing of a human being with malice aforethought. So, let's see how much of that actually applies to abortion. Let's start with the words unlawful killing. Since abortion was made legal in 1973, it clearly is not an unlawful killing. A fetus actually also isn't a human being. According to 1 U.S. Code 8, the word human being shall include every infant member of the species Homo sapien who is born alive at any stage of development. Since the fetus is inside a woman at the time of an abortion, it's very clearly not yet been born alive. So, by law, it is not yet a human being. Malice aforethought is a legal term of art that describes an evil and depraved state of mind in which a person is unconcerned about the lives of others. In this instance, both the doctor performing the abortion and the mother do have a concern for some other. That other is the woman carrying the baby, and their concern is she old enough to carry a baby to term? Can she nurture a child? Provided a safe and proper home? Is she mentally sound? Is she stable? Is she ready to take on the responsibilities of raising a child? So abortion is not murder. And just so you know, homicide and manslaughter don't apply either. I checked. Pro-life supporters argue that abortion harms women. A 2014 study by UC San Francisco concluded that major occurrences of complications are rare, occurring in about 0.25% of patients. That's about 1 in 400. And by major occurrence, they mean additional hospital visit, surgery, or a blood transfusion. In other words, women are not harmed by this procedure. Well, what about allegations that women will regret them in the future? That's actually a pretty good point. However, if we made laws based on the possibility of future regret, tattoos would be illegal, and so would 3 scoops of ice cream and weddings. They say that abortions are cruel because a fetus can feel pain. The best medical evidence says that a fetus's neurological systems are not functioning until around the 24th week. Meanwhile, in Gary Busey's case, the ability to feel pain doesn't happen until well past the 70th year of life. They say that laws that make abortions more difficult to get actually result in fewer abortions. Not unless those restrictions also come with more and better access to contraception and sex education, which they don't, because you've done nothing to reduce the actual number of pregnancies. What restrictions on abortions result in is more unsafe abortions, especially among poor women. Pro-lifers also argue that taxpayer money is going to fund abortions. No, it doesn't. Not since 1976, when Congress passed the Hyde Amendment, which prohibits federal tax money to be used in support of abortion. Look, I could keep going point by point, but the truth is everything so far is a smokescreen for the 3 central issues in this case. 1, when does life begin? 2, who decides what goes on inside a woman's body? And 3, how do you choose between conflicting interests? The pro-life side believes that life begins at conception, while the pro-choice side believes it's around the time that a fetus is viable outside the womb, around, say, 24 to 27 weeks. So, now we have to see the facts that form the foundation of those ideas. The idea that life begins at conception is a religious argument based on faith in the Bible. Meanwhile, science and medicine point to the 24 to 27 weeks. In our country, we simply do not make laws that accommodate one religious faith over another. On question number 2, abortion opponents believe that the government has a compelling interest to force a woman to carry a fetus to term. People who support a woman's right to choose believe that individual women decide what happens inside their own bodies. And this gets us to question number 3, where we are confronted with a classic case of competing interests. Does the growing fetus have a right to be born that supersedes the woman's right to self-determination? Look, in our country, we make hard decisions in the face of competing interests all the time. The government wants to investigate terrorism threats, and that interest is pitted against a person's right not to be dragooned down to the police station and tasered in the nuts until they reveal that their nanny doesn't have a green card or what their neighbor Muhammad is up to. A gay couple getting married who wants a wedding cake has the right not to be discriminated against. However, their rights are pitted against the baker, whose religious convictions prohibit accepting their lifestyle. I have the right to play my guitar in my own garage. You have the right not to hear me fucking butcher Back in Black while you sleep. Look, I get it. This is a much more nuanced and difficult choice than the others. However, the choice is still clear. Abortion must remain safe, legal, and rare. Our country, our culture, our way of life is predicated on an individual's ability to determine the course of their own life. Your religious convictions are your religious convictions. And that's how it should stay. Forcing a woman by writ of law to carry to term a baby that she does not want or is incapable of properly raising is an unacceptable punishment for sexual relations. Your religious convictions are plain and simply a grotesque effort to control women, to control families, and to have control over the propagation of our species. That is it for this time. I encourage you to check out nearly 50 hours of original shows on our streaming service, factbox.tv, including, by the way, more than 30 more episodes of Be Less Stupid. Factbox.tv, it's your antidote to fake news and 100% free factual entertainment. That's it. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching, and remember, please, if you enjoyed I don't know how you could enjoy this one. Anyway, if you felt like you learned something, share it with your friends. That's how we spread the word. Thanks.